So let's take a second to talk about our defense. As we all say, a good defense makes a good offense. So, to start talking about the defense, we will draw our typical house. So, if I draw a line right through the dots to the top of the circles and connect the top of the circles, and then go back to the goal line and draw a diagonal back to where the edge of the goalie crease would hit the backboards. This is typically what people refer to as the house. Most goals are scored in this region, including those that might start out here at the point, say, and are shot into here and are tipped or redirected. Still a goal that's scored in the house. So really, we want the idea of a good defense is to keep the opponent to the outside of the house and to really never let pucks get inside the house. So normally what we'll run, the most basic of defenses, again, when we're going through these systems, I'm just going to talk about the basics of the basics. You can get more complicated, more elaborate from here, but really you can accomplish a lot if you just perfect the basics. So we just want to talk about the absolute basics. So we're going to run probably what's called the box plus one. And a box plus one means kind of exactly as you can imagine. So let's start with the puck down low. We'll talk about the puck in different positions, but puck's down low, the opposition has possession. So normally we would have a defenseman on that puck. We would have a winger, maybe a little bit lower. I like to actually draw it. I like to collapse a little bit lower than maybe typical. That is kind of covering the puck going high. You typically have a winger high slot. You would have a defense low slot, and then you'd have your center supporting the defense pressuring the puck carrier. So why do we call this a box plus one? Because as you can see here, if I were to kind of connect the dots between the outside, it's making a box, and then you got one guy in the middle of that, typically the center supporting. Okay. So typical setup for a box plus one. Again, just trying to keep the puck to the outside of the house. So let's talk about how we shift based on various puck movements. So let's say that typical puck movement would be the puck going behind the net over to the other corner. How would we shift? So this defenseman would obviously follow that puck carrier, preferably poke checking away, but can't. Never really follows behind and then pops out into the slot. We really don't want to follow a puck carrier behind the net. The defenseman that's in the slot will pick up that puck carrier on the back end of the net. So that handoff, that transition from one D to the other is really key. It has to be orchestrated well between the two defensemen, but the other defenseman picks him up and follows him over to the other side. Your center is going to cycle into high slot, make sure that as the puck carrier going behind the net, that nothing's coming out into the kind of what I'll call middle slot, middle high slot. Nothing does, just kind of keeps going and is supporting that defenseman on the other side. Of course, our wingers, this winger is going to shift over to high slot, and the high slot winger is going to shift over to that position. And so what we're left with is basically the same thing, just on the opposite side as the puck moved over. Again, I have a box plus one. I've got my Ds, my wingers, and my center supporting my D. Okay, the other shift that we may have is the puck going up high. And when that happens, this winger is just going to give a little bit of pressure out. This winger may give a little bit of pressure out, may not. Everybody just kind of moves out ever so slightly. The center's probably going to come into this open area here. Really what we're trying to prevent in this case is normally they'll have a player on the back half of the ice, and we'll talk about this a little bit. whatever half of the ice the puck is on, you'll notice that when I draw the box plus one, we're always, what I want to say, kind of aggressive on that half of the ice, that we normally don't have a lot of defenders on the other half of the ice where the puck is not. So that usually leaves an open player here, but what we want to prevent is any lane to this player that they have out there, usually with active sticks. But if you notice, it's really hard to get this puck to a player that might be down here. Maybe I'll draw them a little lower. It's pretty hard to get that puck through at any point that puck might be here, because you got to get through all of our players to get there. If it does get through, then everybody shifts very quickly, right? So D comes over, winger comes over, center comes over to support, winger comes over, D comes back into the slot. So it's a typical movement that we would normally have if that puck gets through. But when the puck goes up high, it's really just kind of small movements. The biggest movement is the center kind of filling this void spot in here in the middle. D maybe moving over a little bit, and D coming in into here. Again, puck moves up to the top, maybe up here, and we're just in the same position. Originally, puck moves back down to here, and we're kind of in the same position that we were. Okay, so that's just fundamental movement. Talked a little bit about we defend on the one half wherever the puck is at. So again, let me erase all this here and make it very clear that whatever half of the puck is on, we overload. That's the word I was looking for. We overload that half. So I'll have a D there, D low slot, winger high slot, winger here, my center supporting. What you'll notice, pucks on this half of the ice, we're overloaded on our D to that half of the ice. Puck comes over, we're overload on that half. Talking a little bit about whether we play it aggressively. So there's two ways to play a defense. You can play it aggressive, or you can play it passive. Passive really just means less aggressive. But typically what we're looking for is this D's job, or whoever it might be, is really looking just to knock the puck away from this puck carrier. If that can happen, our center normally will come swing in and grab the puck either one way or the other. But that's normally the job of the defense in the center down low, right? So the other thing I would say in general, defense and centers are working below the dots. Wingers are working above the dots. Again, there's no hard, fast rule, and it's not to say that a winger can't go below the dots or a D or a center can't go above the dots. There is no hard, fast rule in hockey. These are just good concepts. In general, I talk with players about primary responsibilities and secondary responsibilities. So D and center's primary responsibility, below the dots, working together, trying, again, D just trying to knock the puck away, take the body usually, knock the puck, take the body. Center's job, swing in and grab an empty, grab an open puck. Wingers' jobs are usually above the dots, defense in high slot. But again, secondary positions, we all help each other out. So that's fundamental box plus one defense.